Hi guys, it's Ricky Fleming here from Moshville Times once again. I'm delighted to be welcomed by Rik Hunter, the bassist vocalist of the Manchester-based band Agent 47. Welcome to you, Rik. Obviously, since we last spoke, the world's pretty much turned to shit since then. So how are you doing? Are you still working and things like that?
Yeah, working from home since just before the lockdown was announced. We decided that we worked from home till future, and then while the lockdown was announced, we were actually live streaming from the practice room that night. I don't know if you remember watching that, but we had loads of graphics going, and the performance was terrible because we just last minute decided to do it, and like got Badger on board to come in and do some stuff and whatnot, and it was like, oh, let's just slam this together really, really quick and do something because we're going to get locked down. And as they were announcing it, we were in the room. Mike comes around and is like, I have to kick you out, lads. So that was that. So since then, it's just been a case of having the kids at home, having everyone at home, and then they went back to nursery. So we can at least get a full day's work in now-ish.
Yeah. No, good stuff. I'm glad to hear that you're doing well, mate. So that's good to hear. So with the lockdown then, so have you been using this time constructively and writing more songs?
Yes. Some of which you might have actually heard at some point. Sent around a few of the lockdown mixes I put together. I've been putting out some really strange stuff and just doing stuff for myself, really, working on a couple of bits and bobs. But as far as band stuff goes, we've had to put the cork in new stuff. We've just had a lineup shake up, so we're writing actively all the time. But we've got to get Neil trained up on drums first. Yeah. And then Dan's got to learn guitar parts. So
how are you guys communicating the new stuff then?
We communicate every day. Like we've had a group messenger since. I mean, I've known the guys. I've known Mike a very long time.
Yeah.
I've known Dan since 2006, and Mark pretty much straight after that because they've been friends for a while. So I mean, the lineup is just basically guys that I talk to anyway.
Yeah.
So we communicate every day, something or other. We'll send ideas through. We work on stuff through Logic, Cubase, whatever we've got to hand. Send it over. If it's a good idea, we'll keep hold of it and jam it out in the practice room.
Yeah. No, good.
There's no such thing as a bad idea.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks for that, mate. So obviously I'm up here in Scotland, and with the easing of the lockdown, and we're a few weeks behind you. So is there a chance of the band to meet up and practice or anything like that?
Yeah, we've been practicing. We've been back at it for about 2 weeks now. We moved Neil's stuff in, and Dan moved his drum kit out. He's moving his guitars in tomorrow. So we're doing that switcheroo, and now we've got 3 guitarists. It's going to be practicing is going to be a pain in the ass for the next couple of weeks, but we'll get there.
Yeah. So you've just released a video for your last single, The Simulator. So how was that made, and how have the responses been for that so far?
We haven't released the video yet. We've put out a live video that was done at a live stream gig we did in Manchester. Part of Badgerfest Promotions. It was filmed and edited. It wasn't even edited. It was filmed live by guys at Foreshore Media who did a cracking job on it. The sound was done by in-house at Rebellion, and Badgerfest Promotions put the gigs together. I don't know if you caught any of those live streaming gigs, but all 3 of them were absolutely sunken. The sound was great. The atmosphere was great considering there was no one in the venue. It was just at home, sat there going, "This is mint." And when we played, it was so different. You know, but then they gave us all the footage afterwards to put on YouTube and stuff, I guess, because they want to get more into band stuff, so they're sort of advertising themselves that way. And I thought it was a really cool thing to do. So I decided to cut out the simulator and put it as a front video, so people to drive people to the YouTube channel to watch the full gig.
Yeah.
So far, there's that one song on the video has probably reached about 1,100 plays right now. A couple of days old, it's not so bad. Mark is working on a video for the simulator. I don't think anyone's ready for it though. It is animated, and I gotta tell you from what I've seen, it's mental. Is this what you'd expect from us, really? To be honest,
you're a good fun live band, and that's one of the things that I noticed in the live video of, like you said, of the simulator. One of the things that I like about being watching bands is having more than one vocalist. And it's always pleasing when I see 2 vocalists in your band. So was it by accident that you wanted more than one vocalist, or because I just think it brings so much more variety to the song? So was it by accident, or was the guitarist a previous vocalist in another band, or?
No, not so much. It was just kind of one of those things where it's just as Mark just kind of tried it out one day, and I was like, yeah, it works. Let's keep it, and we do it as much as possible, really, within the songs. But a lot of it is down to that dynamic and down to the fact that Mark has got a pretty grufty voice. Yeah. So we utilize it as much as the songs need, really, and he'll find little bits to come in and little bits to do, and so there's no pressure for him to jump in whenever, in places where it doesn't fit. He's just free to kind of jump in, and if it works, it works. If we don't, keep it. But I know you're a massive fan of the two vocalist thing, and that was one of the things that you first picked up on. You were like, I like how you've got you two guys going off on each other, and it kind of works. So, I mean, hopefully we'll get more of that now, because Dan coming in on guitar, so we'll have 3 guitarists. So Mark will probably end up in some tracks maybe taking like a sort of Frank from Deftones approach, where he does a bit of mix here, a bit of samples, and throws in a few little audio-visual things here and there, and it'll free him up to do a bit more vocal work.
Yeah. So
that could be really interesting.
So sticking with the simulator then, what's the song really about, if you want to explain a wee bit?
Well, as you probably know, it's another word for liar.
Yeah.
So essentially, I wear my heart on my sleeve lyrically in life everywhere. I can't necessarily write about things I don't know about. I can't necessarily draw from experiences that aren't my own. So it's essentially just a blanket statement against the authoritarianism, the general dickheads that just pieces of shit that lie to you throughout everyday life all the time. Shit bosses, promises of this, promises of that, dangling carrots. Politicians basically bald-faced lying to you. There's the fact that no matter where you go, everyone's just kind of lying to your face. So eventually, they're just going to get broken down, and you're going to be the one that's like, "Yay, I win."
It's just I was waiting to see the government there.
It's just more of a sort of commentary on like being sick of people just being full of shit.
Yeah,
that's pretty much it, basically.
Yeah. That's brilliant. Thank you for that. So for those that are new to the band then, so how would you say it compares to your early material, and do you think you've found the sound that you've been looking for with the simulator and the like?
We never really chased the sound, to be honest. We just kind of put stuff together in a big bowl, essentially. So Mark likes a lot of the sort of new metal-y stuff, guitar-wise. Mike's pretty blues-based, but also likes a lot of what I like to call fiddly guitar parts. And Dan's just generally along for the ride, drumming, like whatever style, he's good for it. Now to change the dynamic, it's probably going to sound a little different, but every iteration of the band from day one has always had the same core sound.
Yeah.
So it's easily the most adventurous song we've done to date, which is why I'm really proud of it, because sort of section-wise and arrangements-wise, it's bigger than sort of the stuff off the first EP. It sounds more clean than the stuff off the first EP. That was the sound we were sort of gearing towards originally, whereas the recordings kind of sounded a bit lo-fi, a bit 80s thrash, sort of early Metallica kind of recordings, where it's not so much muddy, but it sounds like it was recorded in the 80s, but not.
Yeah.
And sort of gone away from that and put a nice little polish on it. And I think Gavin Rain did a pretty decent job with that one, to be fair. And we did record more stuff, but that's not necessarily ready to see the light of day yet.
Okay.
Just got a few more tweaks on that. But yeah, it compares to the other stuff in a way that it's sort of bigger and bolder. It's got more to it than the general sort of simplistic stuff of the first EP.
Yeah.
But that's not necessarily us going in a different direction. That's just us trying on a new hat for a little bit, and we'll see what comes next, really.
Yeah. So you mentioned a wee bit about a lineup change then. So what's been happening then? Who's in, who's out, who's moved sideways?
No one's out.
Good.
Dan's moved to a third guitar, and we've got a guy called Neil. He's not
been an Iron Maiden then. 3 guitars.
Yeah. I mean, who knows how it's going to take shape? I mean, Mark said something about doing other stuff, like augmenting stuff with like maybe a bit of keys here and there, things like that. So we've really got that extra resource to draw upon to do other stuff.
Yeah.
So it might shift in the way of, maybe I might decide one day that I want to kind of, I wonder if Mark can play the bass for this, and I can just go and get in people's faces, and we could do more things like that because we've got more guys. So we've got Neil in on drums. He's a 30-year-old lad from Haywood, up around Manchester, and he is primarily, I guess, he's more of a sort of punk-oriented drummer.
Okay.
A bit of sort of hip-hop background and things like that. He's not been in any bands that you'll know, and that's really good for us because he's relatively new to the Manchester scene. So it's kind of like, oh, who's this guy? He's really good.
So how did you find him?
Dan found him, I guess, either in Skip somewhere or I can't remember.
Yeah. He seems to have taken to the drums.
Oh yeah, he's great. He was great. Yeah, he loves pretty much the same things as we do.
Yeah,
he's a big Deftones fan. He likes Batman. He likes comic books. He likes all the shit we like. He'll fit right in.
Aye. So obviously,
he does use Android though. So.
So obviously, since there's more members then, so how would you say you keep it all together? And then, for example, when negotiating, what stays in and what goes out of a song?
Well, we generally, the way a song comes together for us is like Mike will play a riff or Mark will play a riff and we'll all join in and see how it goes. Then we'll spend like about an hour, 2 hours trying to figure out where that goes and then where that can lead. Then we'll get a sketch and we'll write down the sections on a board and we'll try them all out one by one, bit by bit. And then if something doesn't work, we'll pretty much all agree. Doesn't work, chop it. And we don't really sort of put heads on that all that much, to be honest. It's just a creative process that everyone's involved in. No one sort of brings the whole song to the table and goes, right, playing this.
Yeah.
Although in the exception of Rise 4, which is a new one we were working on from last year, that was primarily a song that I wrote about 17 years ago.
Wow.
With an old band. But I transposed it down to drop A and made it more doomy-ish. You've heard that, actually?
I think I have, yes, I have.
Yeah, I really like that track. I think that's my favourite. Like most bands do acoustic stuff. Well, we've gone the other way and done something a bit heavier. So that's kind of how we just sort of write like that. It's everyone sort of brings something different to it and then it just kind of works or it doesn't.
Yeah.
Put it in the bin. I mean, we're really fortunate that we're a band of guys that have known each other a long time and can sort of work to each other's strengths and figure out, well, Mark probably won't like this riff, but Mike will. So let's try and find a way to work it so everyone kind of gets on board with it and everyone likes it. And we will retool and rework. But a lot of the stuff that you'll hear has been played in various different ways over the years. Like some of it gets faster, some of it gets slower, some of it gets maybe a little daft part here and there as it goes on. So if we re-recorded that first EP now, for example, it'd be about half as much faster.
Yeah,
the tempo is upped and everything. So yeah, it's just evolution between people that write music. Really, we don't necessarily have anything that one person goes, "That's crap," and just shoots it down. Yeah. It's a case of, all right, that sounds cool. How can we make it sound more like a riff that we would work with? And because I have to do bass and vocals, sort of I like to try and keep that a bit simple for the most part and let myself loose on different bits. So having a couple of chord progressions thrown in there and just run the bass is quite nice also. Yeah. I've always gone in for that. But you know.
So do you do the lyrics yourself as well, or do the band contribute with that as well?
To be honest, I pretty much just write them on my own. I'll go to Mark sometimes and be like, "Can you sanity check that?" Yeah. And he'll put his little bits in the background. Like for Suffer, for example, what he's singing in the background is his own. I don't write that stuff for him. He'll come up with it, and we'll see what works.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I just kind of sit and write them. We get a song together, and over the course of like a week or two, we'll just sit and write lines, and then each song has about 3 different versions of lyrics.
Okay.
So sometimes if you see us live, you'll think if you've heard Suffer before, for example, and my brain goes with lyrics number 2, you'll hear a completely different second verse.
Okay.
If I feel like doing the recorded version we recorded recently, then that's like the standard version. I'll do that quite a fair bit. But then other times there might be a different first verse because that's the other way it was written. So there's always like 3 or 4 different lyric sheets. So I can change it up a little bit, and that's kind of the freedom of being a musician. Really, is everything always evolves. So I try not to give people the same the exact same experience twice. That really lends itself to variety.
Yeah, thanks very much for that. So I see it's great to see Dan back in the band after recovering from his injury. So was he able to pick things up quite quickly again? And how was it working with Manchester legend John Badger?
Sorry, my wife's just walked past my computer with a bottle in her pants like a massive dick. I love you too, honey. Thank you. No, yeah, Dan's injuries. Dan had unfortunate injuries, and yeah, he was able to get back in the saddle again a little bit, but then now he can't physically drum anymore. So we're just really lucky that he's a phenomenal guitarist. So we can just turn around. He just turn around and say, "Well, can I just do this instead?" I'm like, all right, but you're in charge of finding a new drummer. He fucking did it. So I can't really argue with that, but no, he's been fighting sort of those kind of health issues for a while now, and he gets to the point where he's wearing earplugs and headphones while he was drumming. Otherwise, it would really irritate his jaw.
Okay.
I guess something happened when he fell, and then it just caused this really weird, like, surge of reaction, and his pain in his eardrums goes down to his jaw and stuff. So
was that a complete accident? Yeah.
Pardon?
Was that a complete accident?
Oh yeah, he just fell over.
Oh, for goodness sake.
I mean, he's a man of a certain age, you know. He's 45 now, so he can't be taking any chances of falling over, you know.
46, just you be cheeky. So obviously to fill in for Dan, then you had John Badger. So how did that come about?
No, Chris has been a mate of mine since about year 8 in high school. You know, it's one of those things where I've always wanted to play together, but never always missed the chance. We had an unfortunate circumstance that kind of brought that about. So I was really, you know, in a way, it was like we knew that sort of Dan could be represented through someone that he knows and respects as well. Mm. So it was sort of Dan's suggestion to get Chris in, and it just kind of worked out because the similar sort of styles. Chris is able to come in and just do it straight off the bat. We did a bunch of gigs with us. He did the live stream with us as well because Dan wasn't available. He's just really all around helped us out, and you know, I've been a friend of his for a very long time. So it was just nice to have that experience playing music with my friends. You know, that's all this band's ever been about, is just playing music with your friends. So I just couldn't think of anyone else that would be able to do the job and fit right in. So yeah, it's just got him sub in, and he did a really good job.
Excellent, thank you. So there will be, of course, no live shows in the near future. So did you have plans for this summer, and do you have any plans for maybe next year on the live front?
We did have one show that got cancelled. We were supposed to be supporting Molly Karloff in Burnley.
Right.
With Pulverize. Pulverize were brought in because Dead River Kings couldn't play. Okay. So, and that was supposed to be a really good one, but we got pulled because of COVID. And then SummerSlam in September. Hopefully that's still going to go ahead. So that's in Manchester. It's my all day, isn't it? Second year. So we've got Footprints headlining, Deus Mori, like one of the best black metal bands, honestly. I think I turned you on to them a while back, actually. What did you think?
Yeah, I did. Very positive review as well.
Good, aren't they? I saw it. It was really good, man. I was grateful. I'm sure they were grateful for that as well.
Yes, they were.
That's pretty much us. And you know, next year is the 10-year anniversary, so hopefully get a couple of shows around February.
Yeah.
Until then, I guess we've just kind of got to focus on making sure Neil and Dan are up to speed before September, and then focus on recording and writing new stuff.
Yeah, that actually leads on to my next question then. So what's next for Agent 47?
Don't know. We don't like to plan that far ahead. We want to try and get more across the UK, sort of northwest areas and things like that, out to Leeds and Liverpool, more places like that, and do some shows there.
Yeah. Do you see doing like an EP next year or something like that?
I want to put out an album. We've been trying to put together an album for a while now, but with Dan's injuries and other sort of setbacks and family life and stuff, it's never really been feasible to jump in a studio for that long. But we found a way now. We can record pretty much anything we want to from our respective houses really easily, because we've all got access to digital audio workstations and audio interfaces and technology that allows us to do it. And Dan has access to electronic drum kits and various other things. So we can pretty much put together a record, I think, before the end of the year at home. And that's what we're aiming to do. We've got a few songs in the works already that me and Dan have put bass and drums down on. Just waiting on Mike. getting the guitar started, and then I'll go in the practice room and put vocals down when it's quiet.
Yeah.
That's pretty much, the plan as far as the plan goes.
Yeah. So when things were normal, where did you guys get together and rehearse and record your songs?
It was recorded in Rain City in Manchester. As part of a session we did 3 tracks in a day.
Okay.
Then Gav went away and mixed and mastered them. We put the simulator out straight away because we were really happy with how that turned out. Some of the other ones, it's not necessarily a question of the mixes or a question of the way it was mastered. It's sort of the playing. They weren't happy with the way they weren't happy with the way they played it, and I wasn't happy with the way some of the vocals turned out. So we figured we'd try and do those again.
Yeah.
At some point they'll see the light of day as demos, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But no, Gav was really good with that. He did a really good job with the simulator, but the performances just went up to the sort of standard, the perfectionist standard that we wanted with the other 2. So we're going to redo them at some point. We did plan to put them out as an EP, but that just didn't happen the way we wanted it to. So
yeah,
we're currently working on rectifying that.
Cool. Just the last question for you then. So what guitars do you have, and what do you use for recording Agent 47 material then? What do you have?
Then, that's a big loaded question, Ricky, because I know what I use. I've used various bits of equipment over the years, but I've settled on a Jackson JS3 5-string Spectra bass. Love it.
So how many bass guitars do you actually have for yourself?
Me?
Aye, how many do you have?
I only use one bass. Yeah. I only need one at a time. I'm not like one of those guys that has like multitude of guitars just all in different hangers, Dan. Because one day I might want to use a dime bag, and one day I might want to use an Ibanez. I generally try and have one at a time. I'd like to have more, but what's the point really? We really need to play one.
Yeah. Do you have a dream bass guitar that you would like to have?
Yeah. I really want one of Lemmy's old Rickenbackers. It has to be one of Lemmy's old Rickenbackers, or one of Duff McKagan's old P basses from like 88 to 92.
Yeah.
They're all pearl white ones.
They'll cost a few quid away.
Yeah, about $2,000.
Yeah.
The Rickenbackers, probably, if it's one of Lemmy's, it's going to cost me about £1 million. So, and I just use bias effects and a DI live. So everything goes through my iPad. Mm-hmm. And everything goes through a Electro Harmonix DI box.
Yeah. Straight
in front of the house. It's really simple. Mike uses Schecter, mainly uses the Schecter KM7, which is a Keith Merrow signature.
Yeah.
And he uses Axe FX Mark II straight out to the board, straight out to the front of the house. Excuse me.
Sorry.
Dan's gonna be using a mixture of ESPs and Ibanez's. Particularly, he's got Axion 7, which is probably gonna be his main one spinner, because the guys both use 7 strings more often than not.
Yeah.
So hopefully he'll get a chance to break out his 8-string, but I don't know. he's using a Boss Katana head. Presumably he's going to start DIing that. Mark's is pretty much a classic. It's an Ibanez ARZ 307, which is sort of a Gibson-y kind of look, but it's 7-string.
Yeah.
Really meaty guitar. He just goes through a Boss GT 1000 again, straight DI.
Okay.
So we don't actually use traditional amps. We'll have some active speakers in the practice room, and then when we go gigging, we just DI straight to the PA.
Sounds
nice and quick setup.
Yeah, sounds very good to me. Very technical, very technical. So just to end off then, for any prospective fans trying to get in touch with Agent 47, where can they find you on social media then? There you go.
You can go there, and that'll send you to Facebook, to Twitter, everywhere, and you can listen to music, watch videos. Can't play any games, but you can view our EPK. But mainly, on Facebook and all that stuff, it's at Agent 47 UK.
Okay. Or
you can find us by typing 4GN7.
Yeah.
On Instagram, it's Agent 47 Band, because Agent 47 UK was taken. I really didn't like that, but
Yeah.
What can you do? It's what you get when you name yourselves after a video game character that everyone likes.
That's it. Listen, Rik, I thank you very much for your time tonight. Been a brilliant interview, and it's great catching up with you again. So you take care of yourself, and I'll look out for what you're doing next. Okay?
Yeah, you too, buddy. Speak to you soon.